This program is of vital importance to all of us who live at the Bay Club. 2 years ago, the amount of water that came down from McCarroll Canyon and came down Sea Cove, poured over the walls and poured over the curbs and sandbags and eroded our cliff. We have to count on what you and Jim Bell and his people are going to do to assure that we never have that kind of water flow coming down Seagate into our property and over our cliff. And I don't think I've ever run into any more competent engineers. I'm an engineer myself, and it's been a pleasure to work with these men, and I thoroughly appreciate what they've done and this plan, and I would hope that the council would help move this forward so that come next winter, we don't have to flip the dice again on all that water that we saw 2 years ago, and thank you very much.
As I speak on behalf of our congregation, St. Peter's by the Sea Presbyterian Church, again, I'm grateful for the leadership of your city staff, and we bring our support to this proposal, particularly for two reasons. We want to be, it's important that we be good neighbors together, and so we want to be mindful of what's upstream, and we like very much the proposals. We also want to be good neighbors to folks downstream from the church, and we want to make sure that that's well cared for, and this proposal does that. Again, I thank you for your consideration, and we urge, certainly give our support and encourage you to give yours as well to this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, those two gentlemen are thrilled that you're moving ahead with the improvements in McCarroll Canyon. Your thoughts when you were listening to their testimony that evening?
Well, I think it's most appropriate that Reverend Cobb would speak about that for two reasons. Number one, it's not by accident that insurance companies do list floods under acts of God. How appropriate that we have a spokesperson. But secondly, he was there and he was really affected by the water damage at the time. As we were inspecting houses that day, we got to Reverend Cobb's home. We met with him at St. Peter's by the Sea discussing the damage at the church, but we could see firsthand the damage that was done to his home. What was remarkable, I have to say this about Reverend Cobb and his family, was the fact that they started to be a focal point. People were bringing them things. They had events going on that afternoon, and you could see the impact that this had on families. Bill Webster later came to us during testimony at the city council meetings, and it was remarkable how well he articulated the support. First of all, the recognized problems that it had on his community, his local community, and then supporting the actions that the city council was taking and that the plans were made. I thought that was quite insightful to hear from residents. He was typical. He was a perfect spokesperson for them, and it reminded us how important it was for us to deal with this problem.
Anything you want to add to that, Dennis?
Yeah, I actually went down there the day after the storms. In fact, that's the day that I met Bill Webster. The lives of a number of our residents were affected by that storm. In fact, there were $12 million of property claims brought against the city as a result of those winter storms. It just heightened the urgency of needing to move forward with the project. It's been a cooperative, collaborative project with the residents in that community, including Bill, including Reverend Cobb, and other members of the neighborhood, and it's just nice to see the project moving forward.
All right, one thing I know, Bill is an engineer, as is, of course, who we're going to be hearing from next. The key player in all of this is, in fact, Jim Bell, who is the City Public Works Director. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, you won't want to miss Jim's story as he walks us through McCarroll Canyon, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to RPV City Talk. Again, here with me in studio is Councilmember Steve Wolowich and our Finance Information Director, Technology Director, Dennis McLean. We're continuing to talk about McCarroll Canyon, and of course, coming up is Jim Bell, who I went out to at McCarroll Canyon. He's marvelous. The city hired him about a year ago. Your thoughts on him? He put this project on the table for you 8 years earlier than planned.
First of all, we were quite heartened when Jim came on board, and he had to hit the ground running. Now, much to his credit, Les Evans had started to set the tone after the prior finance director, boy, I talk about finance, and public works. This was interwoven. So getting somebody, we had a temporary public works director, but then when we were able to find Jim and have him come on board, and he recognized immediately the importance of the issue and the need to provide the right kind of study for it, and to not be trapped into any preconceived notion as to what should be done. So what we saw with Jim's ideas was the fact that he was going to apply a lot of new technology to now existing situations, and we were heartened by the results of it. Also, again, Mother Nature, somewhat set the timetable by saying you had to address these things, and which we've been doing.
All right, I think any of your thoughts on what Jim Bell's doing here for
Sure.
the city?
Jim and I work well together. Jim's department and my department work well together. We have to work with an oversight committee for the storm drain program. And, Jim's energy, his effort in taking the program, in continuing to revise the dynamic program that it needs to be as we discover new problems, has really enabled us to move this program to where we're at today, including the McCarroll Canyon project.
All right, with that, I think we should, we'll move on to Jim Bell, and let's go meet with him at McCarroll Canyon. So take it away, Jim.